All right, and we've just gone live to do another episode of Video Marketing Madness.
There it is.
Let's double check and make sure that we actually are indeed live on good old Facebook, which it looks like we are. We're streaming. And for those of you who join us, we're going to have some fun today. And of course, we'd love to have you like our video here as we're doing this and comment as we go along. Tell us that we're idiots. Tell us that we know what we're talking about. Add in all of your extras and have a little fun with this as we do it. Whether you're watching this, on one of our pages or our groups or on my main Facebook page, whatever, get in there. Tell us what you think. Give us your opinions. We love to hear them. And today we're going to be talking about something that we don't talk about a whole lot. We talked about end screens a little while back, but today we're going to talk about YouTube cards, the power of YouTube cards. And for those of you who don't know what that is, those are the little cards that you may never have even noticed on YouTube that give you more information, allow you to click back to a website, etc. And I like to call them the thing that YouTube forgot, because they don't seem to tell anybody that these exist, and they don't do a very good job of making sure that people understand them. So I know a lot of people
forget them.
Just don't get them. They don't understand. They don't know what it is. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that.
It's that little eye.
It's the little eye icon. Eye icon. That's in the
As opposed to R.
R. So, yes, indeed. Whew. So, Steve, are you ready to get this show on the road here?
I believe so.
You believe so? All right.
That's what I said.
I think it is what you said. All right. Then in that case, here we go. In 5, 4, 3. On today's episode of Video Marketing Madness, we're going to discuss YouTube cards and whether or not they're actually effective for your videos. Should be interesting. And today's episode is made possible by Thumbnail Blaster, the software that you want to use to start making YouTube thumbnails. As we talked about a few weeks ago, YouTube really looks at your thumbnails and your titles to decide what they're going to promote on their front page and in the related videos and all of that kind of fun stuff. So if you've got a good thumbnail, you've got a better chance of being seen. Not only that, but videos that have better thumbnails tend to get clicked on more often in searches. So you've got a much better chance of getting more people to your videos. Well, how do you make those great thumbnails? Well, you use a tool like Thumbnail Blaster. This is a tool that allows you to go in, you set up your channel so that it's inside the program itself. You choose the video that you want to put a thumbnail on. You design it from one of the templates or from scratch if you're really good. You put together the thumbnail, you hit publish, and boom, it goes right out to your YouTube video. You don't even have to be in YouTube or even logged into YouTube or a Gmail account in order to do this. It does it automatically because it's connected with your channel. Very simple, very easy. And you can also go in and just make thumbnails and download them and upload them later if you want to. And that's great if you haven't put a video up yet. But overall, just a tremendous software. Steve, right before we started going on the air today, you said something. You want to repeat what you said about Thumbnail Blaster?
It's one of the best products you've ever sold. And I've known you for, 9-10 years?
I don't know. It seems like 100, but I'm not sure.
I've known you since the late 50s, and it's the best product you ever sold.
No, I agree. Definitely for this year, it's so far I'm going to have to call it the number one product without a doubt. There's been a lot of great products, but this one is just so versatile. And if you want to get in on the action, start making thumbnails, you can check it out at raythevideoguy.com/thumbnailblaster. That's Thumbnail Blaster, all one word. You'll be able to jump in there. We've got bonuses. We've got all sorts of fun stuff. And, you can start making thumbnails today and getting more traffic. And by the way, you can even split test your thumbnails, believe it or not. So get in there, check it out,
functional.
Thumbnail Blaster, raythevideoguy.com/thumbnailblaster. And with that, let's hit that funky music.
He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy.
And it's the radio show about video marketing madness with Ray, the video guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. And we got the logo on the Facebook Live there. It's govmm.com. Of course, if you're listening to just the audio, you have no clue what I'm talking about. But anyhow, govmm.com. It has, that's where we host everything, and you can subscribe to all the podcatchers, get social with us.
Yes.
And as the other thing we were talking about is I learned something this week, which is probably worth passing along. I'm into YouTube for the SEO part of it. And it's not just ranking videos. There's all kinds of other authority you get by putting up YouTube videos, and maybe we'll do a show on that sometime. But I stood up a new channel for a new client, and what I was able to always do before is just go out there with all my YouTube channels and subscribe. I'd have 40 subscribers on the channel. Guess what happened when I did that with this one? They didn't count them as subscribers.
What?
They weren't real-time subscribers. So then I had to do this the hard way and go out and ask people to subscribe. Ray did. And
I did.
By the way, shameless plug, if you would like to subscribe, just Google Get Lost Pest Control YouTube and subscribe. You just need to be signed into your Gmail.
There you go.
Definitely.
Plug. And it's worth it, and that's something that people, we kind of forget a lot of times is you need to go out there and help people out by subscribing and subscribe to other people's channels. And you can really start to make a difference if we all do that. That's why we have our online video marketers group on Facebook was originally just for people to, like their channels and subscribe to their channels and like videos and watch videos and things. That's all it was really for when we first started that. So, it's very helpful to do that. So I recommend if you can, ask people to go and subscribe to that channel. Go subscribe to other people's channels, and you can, you can make a big difference with that. And one thing you can do also that I used to do a lot of, and I probably should do it a lot more than I do, is to just go on to YouTube. Go to related things. So if you're a pest control company, go to other pest control companies and subscribe to their channels. They'll probably subscribe back. Answer pest control questions on their channel. So if they've got a video and somebody asks a question, you know the answer to it, give an answer. They may subscribe to you for that. And I've watched in real time as it goes, boop, John Smith just subscribed to you. And I know that 5 minutes ago, I responded to something John Smith had said on another video. So it does work. It will get you more subscribers, and the more subscribers you get, the better you do with the rankings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go.
Note to self, I got to go do that.
Yes, indeed you do. Indeed you do. So that's just a quick little tip there. But today we're going to talk about another tip, and this has to do with something that YouTube has been doing for a couple of years now, and we were lamenting what they used to have versus what they have now and what they've changed. And if you're not familiar, what I'm talking about is YouTube cards. Now, if you don't know what a YouTube card is, essentially, when you upload a video, you have the opportunity to add what are called cards. Now, these cards, they're little graphics, and you upload them into your video using the little card. There's a little card section inside the back end of your YouTube video, and you can hit YouTube cards. And you add this little graphic along with a call to action and some text. So, for instance, if you were a plumber, you might put in a little picture of, of you maybe, or a sink or whatever it happens to be. And it's going to say underneath, having plumbing problems, click here. And then you also put what's called a little teaser that'll pop up on the actual YouTube video at random times. That it'll be a little white banner that kind of slides out along the top. It's very small, but it's going to say like, hey, you're looking for a plumber, click here. And there'll be a little eye icon. It's a little circle, white circle with a little eye inside of it, the letter I, that is. And you click on that, and a little sidebar pops up with the YouTube card that they can then click, go back to your website, or go to another video, whatever it is that you want to send the traffic to. Now, what's good about this is it works pretty well. It works on mobile, which is an issue that we've had in the past with YouTube, with certain things not working on mobile. There are some downsides, though. The downsides are the cards aren't there all the time. They are, but they're hidden in that little drawer. So unless you hit the little eye icon, you're not going to see the cards. And if you don't know what the eye icon is, you may not click on it. You might not even have ever noticed that there's an eye icon to click on your video. It's up at the top right-hand corner. But when you put these in, you can put up to 5 cards per video. And every time you put in a card, it's going to give you that little teaser trailer that'll pop up. So if you put a card at 1 minute into your video, then as people are watching, when it hits 1 minute, that little white banner in the top right-hand corner is going to slide out and it's going to say, looking for a plumber, be sure to click here. Okay, and when you click on that, it'll open up that sidebar. You'll see that graphic, and you can do that up to 5 times. And when you do that those 5 times, it doesn't have to be the same card. It doesn't have to be the same message. You could, for instance, in the first one, it could be a link back to your website and have a little graphic of you. Then maybe in the 3-minute mark, maybe you mention, this is different than unclogging a drain outside. And so then you could have another eye icon that pops up, learn more about cleaning drains outside, and you'll have that card will link to another video instead of to your website, and it will go to the video about cleaning outside drains. Okay? And you can do those 5 different times. Now, they can be the same. In fact, a lot of times when I do it, they're exactly the same. I'm just trying to get attention 5 different times. And each of those cards will still go back to the same thing. So for instance, if you go to raythevideoguy.com/YouTube and look for our thumbnail blaster video, you'll see in there we've got 5 different cards. When you click on it, you'll be able to click back and go to the thumbnail blaster video, or to the thumbnail blaster page and make a purchase. So it's a very useful tool if people actually use it. And that's what a lot of people complain about, is that maybe people don't notice that this is there. Now, one thing to note, if you're doing YouTube ads, you really should put cards in there, because that's going to be an opportunity for them to click and go back to your website. Now, obviously, you've got your banner in your YouTube ad that has that, but this just gives you more opportunities. So put these into as many videos as you possibly can, linking back to either your website, another video, a playlist, etc. If you're new in YouTube, you don't have that ability to click back to your website yet, because you don't have your 40,000 hours of watch time or 4,000 hours of watch time. You don't have your 1,000 subscribers and all that stuff. You can link to another video. Okay, so all you would do is, you're talking about one product, just put in a thing to go to another video. And your end screens, you do the same thing. You might put, just go to another video. Steve, you got something to say about that?
Hey, tell me again. So it's 1,000 subscribers and how many hours of watch time?
4,000 hours of watch time in a 12-month period.
Okay.
Now, and by the way, you have to be careful with this too, because if you have, if it's been 12 months and 4,000 of those hours were exactly 365 days ago, the next day you now have 0. So you gotta keep those coming and coming and coming, so that as days go by, you're still building that up there and keeping that 4,000 hours in 12 months. Now, I have not yet seen them take that away. So if your video was really popular and you got a lot of views early and then later, I've never seen anybody take it away yet. In fact, if you already had that before they implemented this, you still have the ability to use those. Because I've got plenty of I've got channels that don't have 4,000 hours, but they have the ability to do that because they had the ability before and they still have it.
Pro tip, go ahead and put your website in the linked website in the back office in YouTube. It's in the advanced section. And then it'll say pending. And then when you do reach those criteria, it should automatically then put your website, link to your website.
Yes, you'll automatically have that ability as soon as it's available. And you do have to do a little bit more. You've got to put your website in that back end. It's going to say pending. You have to verify. You have to verify your site that it's yours by putting a little code on your website. There's a lot of tutorials out there that will show you how to do that. It sounds more complex than it is. Actually, no, it's pretty complex. it's a little ridiculous, okay. But it's not hard. Anybody can do it with a little bit of instruction. So there's plenty of instructions out there to do that. Once you do,
just Google it, because that's
absolutely.
Anytime I can't figure something out, I just Google it.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube and search it up, there's a lot of people, probably even me. I think I've got some videos showing how to do that inside there if you search on YouTube. But once you do that, you can start to use these YouTube cards to drive traffic back to your website. And with local businesses, this is an opportunity. You can use that graphic to make it a coupon, or whatever you think that will drive people to your website. So for instance, you have a card on there, maybe the card says save 30% right now. And the beautiful thing about the YouTube cards is if you've got a special that's running in the month of August, Well, you can have a card there that talks about your August special, and then on September 1st, you can change that card and have a different card in there that gives your September special, which might be different. And it's still going to be the same card. It's still going to have the same information. It's still going to lead to the same place. You're just changing that graphic coupon in there for your September offer. And you can change these at any time, which is really nice. You can delete them. You can add them, whatever you need to do to make them work for you. But the question is, once we set these things up, do they actually work? And there's been a lot of speculation about this. In fact, in order to do this, I want to go into the Wayback Machine here and talk about what used to be inside of YouTube. And they've made a lot of changes. So, and you can see, if you're watching this live, you'll see Steve's face when I brought that up there. So YouTube used to have what are called annotations. Now, most of you that think of annotations, you may remember you're watching a video and there'd be like a little black bar that just had some text on it. And that's an annotation. However, that's only one small piece of annotation. Annotations could do a lot of different things. And one of the things that we used to love to do with this is when I was editing a video. So let's say my video was about, we'll go back to Thumbnail Blaster. If I had a video about Thumbnail Blaster and I'm saying, hey, Thumbnail Blaster is great, I could actually have a picture of Thumbnail Blaster on my screen, and then inside of YouTube, I could make that a live clickable button. And the way you do that is you would just put an annotation box around that graphic. It doesn't really make it a button, but there's a box there that's a button. You make the box invisible, and then people can click in the video on that, and it looks like they're clicking the box. They're really the Thumbnail Blaster graphic, but they're really clicking an invisible box that's over the Thumbnail Blaster graphic. It would take them to the website, and they could make a purchase. This was really, really good, very, very effective, but it also had some limitations, some pretty bad limitations too. For one, you can never change it. Once you do it, it's done. You're not going to be able to. That graphic is baked into that video before you upload it. So once you upload it, you can't change that graphic. So if it's a special for August, guess what? In September of the next year and the year after and the year after, it's still going to have that August special on there. You can't change that. So that was one of the limitations. The other one is it didn't really work on mobile devices. I think later on some iPads and things could actually use it, could click on it, but most of them couldn't. On the mobile phones, it only would work if you were using... No, I'm sorry, I don't even think it worked at all, if I remember correctly. I don't think it worked at all. But, I think it might have worked kind of if you were using the YouTube app. But if you were like inside of Safari or Google and went to YouTube's website, it wouldn't work at all. Sometimes it would work on mobile, but it just wasn't a good experience when it came to mobile. And that's one of the reasons that they got rid of it. They replaced it by adding end screens. They replaced it by adding cards. Now, the thing about that is it's not as noticeable. So end screens, they only show up in the last 20 seconds of your video. So if you got a 3-minute video and people are only watching 2 minutes of your 3-minute video, they're never going to see that end screen with that link. Okay? Now, the crazy thing about it is the fact that they do end screens now proves they could have figured out how to do annotations throughout the whole thing. And maybe someday they'll change this, and I really hope they do. I hope somebody gets into their head and changes this. What I would love to see is I'd love to see the return of annotations that worked on mobile devices, but allowed you to upload a graphic. See, to me, now that would be ideal. You upload your video, you leave a blank space, you upload a graphic, put the graphic on wherever, drag it around, put it where you want, make it clickable. That to me would be the ultimate thing. Maybe someday they'll do it. That's me just, giving my dream scenario. I hope they do that someday. That would be a really wonderful thing. And then that way you'd have the best of both worlds. You'd have a clickable link throughout the entire video. It could be in the video itself. It doesn't have to be baked into that video. You can change it anytime you want. And that to me would be the absolute ultimate, which means they'll probably never do it. So for now, we're stuck with cards. And believe it or not, cards do work. Now, some people say, well, I remember our good friend Tommy, who does a ton of YouTube ads. Just Tommy Powers, if you don't know who we're talking about. He does just millions of dollars in YouTube ads for big clients like Ford. And I don't know if he does Fords or not. I can't remember. But that type of Coca-Cola, Ford, those big companies. He does a lot of YouTube advertising for them. And when the annotations went away, he was very upset about that because that's what he was, really getting a lot of his traffic from was those. And now you had cards and people weren't clicking on them. Well, the beautiful thing is that over time, people have kind of caught on to the card thing, and it's not as bad as it was. People actually will and do use the cards, maybe not the same as the annotations, but they work on mobile, at least kind of. So you're not with that limitation. So you're literally doubling, more than doubling, probably growing by, more than half of the people are on mobile phones. So you're gaining those people back when it comes to the annotations versus the cards. So you're going to get more people from that. But do people actually click? Well, you guys can't see it right now. If you're listening, you definitely can't see it. But even if you're watching, I'm actually looking at my cards for one of my videos here. Or actually, this is for the whole page for the last little while here. And 18% click on the card. That's pretty good. So you figure if 100 people go to your video, 18 of them are clicking on the card, on one of the cards. Yeah. That's actually pretty darn good. I'm actually surprised it's that much. And that varies. That's for the channel. I've got one video here, which is from a webinar. 59% clicked on the card. Down here, Social Video Magic. I barely remember what that video is. 83.9% clicked on a card. This one down here, a free YouTube guide, 94% clicked on the card. So it spans the gamut here. We've got some that are as low as 3%. We've got some that are 6%. So people do click on the cards, and that's really not bad. We're looking in the last little bit here. This one here had 472 clicks to the card. So that's not too bad. And that was for, oddly enough, to download a free YouTube card template. So that video there got, 472 clicks. And about 26% clicked on that. It's actually showing two different cards on that particular video, and they're separated. One of them got 266 clicks, one got 206 clicks. So that's pretty good, for a video that, we're not talking about, some amazing sports video or something. We're talking about a video about YouTube cards and downloading a free YouTube card. So it's not like that gets millions of views, but to get 472 clicks on a card, that's pretty good. That's a pretty darn good thing. Now it's about YouTube cards, so makes more sense. I don't recall what that video says, but I'm assuming it probably says click the card, which is, by the way, is something that you can do when you get into these videos. When we used to do the annotations, we used to call out the fact that you could click on things. So, in the case of our video that was Thumbnail Blaster, I'd have that graphic show up and maybe even have a little button underneath that says click here. And in the video, I would say, so if you want to grab it, go ahead, click that graphic right here, and I would literally point to it. Well, you can still do that with your YouTube cards. All you have to do is, hey, you want to learn more, want to pick this up right now, click that little eye icon right up here in the corner, and that'll give you the YouTube card that you can click and go back and purchase the product. Boom. Or that can save you 10%, or whatever it happens to be. So you can literally point people out to what's going on there. And the cool thing is, when you do that, so let's say in my video, I say, hey, if you want to pick up Thumbnail Blaster, all you have to do is click the eye icon up here. Well, right at that moment is when I can have it pop out the little banner, because you add that after you upload the video. So if I know I do that and I say click on the eye icon right here at 2 minutes and 16 seconds, well, I can put one of the card markers at 2 minutes and 16 seconds so that as soon as I point to it, whoop, that little banner will pop out that says, hey, click here to pick up Thumbnail Blaster. And that can make a major difference. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to point to this. Or something that somebody pointed out to me, and I keep forgetting to do it. I keep wanting to do this, and I end up exporting my videos, uploading it, and go, dang it, why didn't I do that? Is you could put a graphic on your video, or a text. When you're doing your video, maybe just have a little box up there that points to the eye icon and says, click here. Click here to get your download or whatever. And then that way it's always on the screen telling people what to do. That can be another way to do that. So if you didn't in your actual video go, hey, click on here and point to it, you could put a graphic in later on any video. It could be a commercial that let's say you've got a client that has a TV commercial and you're putting the TV commercial on YouTube. You could put that graphic on the corner of the screen for that TV commercial and point out the fact that they can click on that. And that's going to make a big difference when it comes to getting people to click on those and click back to the website. So if you haven't used it, you got to get in there and start using it. So what does it take? Well, the only thing it requires, again, is I believe you have to have a verified account in order for YouTube cards to be available to you at all. So you got to set up your YouTube channel, you got to verify it with your phone, and then you'll have that option. If you don't have the 4,000 hours of watch time and the 1,000 subscribers, that's okay. You can still use YouTube cards. You can only use it to point back to other YouTube properties like a video or a playlist, but you can still do that. Now, YouTube does have some other options. For instance, if you're a charity, you can have a donate card as well, things like that. But most people aren't going to be using that. They're going to be using it to send to another video, or they're going to be using it to send back to their website if they can. Now, if you've got a very old account, you've had it around for a while, you may have access without having the 4,000 hours and the 1,000 subscribers. You may already have access to this program, so be sure to check that out. And all you need once you do that is go to that card page, put in the name, put in a title for that, because when the card opens up, it's going to have your graphic. Above it, it's going to have a title, and below it, it's going to have a call to action. So you give it a title. So I might call the title Thumbnail Blaster. I'm going to upload a square graphic. And so that can be, I would recommend at least 500 by 500. I'm not sure what YouTube's limit is on that. They may not even have one. But, go 500, 500, or 1,000, 1,000, and have a graphic made that fits in there. So in my case with Thumbnail Blaster, it might just be a box shot that already exists that I don't have to do anything with. I just, maybe I'd use a screen grab it, upload it, and boom, there it goes. Now, if your graphic is not square, it's just going to crop it. So for instance, the other day when I did the cards for a product called Cutout Images or Cutout Pics, which is just a bunch of pictures with the backgrounds cut out, they had this graphic that was really long. It was a whole bunch of the people, because it's cut out people. It's images of people that are cut out of the backgrounds. So they have this entire row of different types of people and then some other graphics below it, much wider than a square. I mean, it's a big, wide rectangle. Well, I just uploaded it anyway, and all it did was crop it to the middle. So you just got the middle portion of that graphic, and that was perfectly fine, depending upon what your image is. It doesn't squish it down, which is nice. It could have just squished it in there. It doesn't do that. It crops it. So if you've got something where it's, wider, you can still upload it in there. It's just going to crop it down to fit into that box. And, you'll get a nice little graphic in there. And hopefully it fits. If it doesn't, get into Photoshop or even into PowerPoint or Keynote and create your graphics there. Export them out, and there you go. You're ready to go. Put it in there. You just upload the image. You put in your call to action. So your call to action will be what's underneath that video. So that call to action could be like, click now to save 10%. Or whatever it is you wanted to do. And then it's going to have the teaser. The teaser is what pops up at the top. And in the teaser, you're going to put, hey, want to pick up Thumbnail Blaster now? Click here. And they click there. The card opens up. They can click on the card, go back to the page, purchase the product. Okay? It's really that simple. And again, you can do this up to 5 times in your video. Now, outside of those 5 times, your card is always there and available if they click that eye icon. So don't be afraid to constantly point to that eye icon. The card is there. It's just those 5 different points are where you can switch what card is the main card, and you can change, any of the information, and it's going to pop up that teaser graphic. So if you're using the same card 5 times, it's just going to pop up that teaser graphic 5 times. Now, inside your cards, and I realize I'm just fire hose here with this, but when you do 5 different cards, or even 5 of the same card, it literally has 5 cards in that sidebar. So when you open it up, you're going to see card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, card 5. 3, 4, 5 might be hidden, and you might have to scroll up and down on the sidebar to see them, but they're all there. So if, for instance, your first one tells you to click here to purchase YouTube, Thumbnail Blaster, then that card's going to be at the top and the other ones are going to be below it. When you get to the next marker and maybe you say, click the eye icon to watch our video about using Thumbnail Blaster, okay? Then when they click on that, that video will be the number one card and the other cards will be below it. So it's going to swap which one is first, but they're all going to be there the entire time. And if you do the same one, it's going to be the same one 5 times in there. Just so you're aware. Not a big deal. You know, it's not like it's a problem if they're in there, but I just want to explain how that works. And what happens is you click on that, it's going to take you to the back end or to wherever you're sending them to. And then in the back end of YouTube, you can actually see how your cards are performing. Because it's always important to take note of exactly what's working, what's not working, why it's working, how it's working. And so all you have to do is go into your analytics, and when you bring up that big new chart that they have, you just kind of go over to the right-hand side. And for me, cards were hidden under More. So you click the More button, drops down, you'll see the cards that are in there. You can do by card type as well. So for instance, I just did card type, and you can see which type of card is getting the most clicks. In my case here, associated website is getting 96% of the clicks. And the reason for that is because probably almost 100% of my cards are clicks back to the website. But videos, they're also getting some clicks. Playlist, poll, because I've done a poll before, but we don't have a lot of videos that have the card going to another video or to a poll or whatever. Most of them are going back to a website so that we can make purchases, or so that the person watching can make a purchase. But you can check it out for any of those things. You can see which cards are working best, what types of cards are working best. So, for instance, if you know that half your cards are to videos and half your cards are to your website, then you can see, well, even though half and half, 90% of the ones going to the website are what's being clicked, then you know what people are liking and wanting to click on more than the other. And so that's, it just kind of helps you to understand, okay, maybe we need to focus more on this. One thing that you can do with this that's very effective is if you've got a multi-series, multiple video series on something. So for instance, back a long time ago, I did a series of videos on using iMovie. Now, this is before cards existed. In fact, on that one there, I was using annotations, and when people got to the end, I had a DVD-style menu with all the lessons laid out in a grid, and they could click on any lesson they wanted. Well, nowadays, we wouldn't be able to do that, but we could put a YouTube card. So when we're going through this and we're talking about specific things, you could have it pop up here, learn more about X, click here, and it'll take them to that particular video so they can learn about that particular one, and get to that video. And, that's YouTube Cards. It's a very useful tool. Again, is it as in your face as annotations? No. Is it as effective? That's questionable. I think it probably is. And the reason for that is because it works everywhere. In fact, on mobile, it actually might work a little better than on desktop because it actually shows up underneath the video in these big cards, and they're there so that you can, get your hands on them right away all the time, which makes it a little bit better. But with the desktop, it's going to pop out that little drawer. You just have to make sure that people know that they can pop out that little drawer, and you should be doing good. And when you do, you should get more traffic traveling around YouTube to all of those different YouTube properties that you have. So there you go. That's YouTube Cards.
Very cool. Let me ask you, is YouTube Cards in the same position on both desktop and mobile? Upper right-hand corner?
The eye icon is, but when you click the eye icon on the desktop, it's going to pull out that little side bar and it's going to drop it in there. On most mobile devices, and I'm not going to say this, I don't use every mobile device, so it may be different on some. When you do it, it puts it underneath. So you'll have the video and you'll have the cards underneath.
Okay.
And so that that can be useful on the depending upon the screen that you're using, it's going to do it slightly differently depending on the size and whatnot. So.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes, indeed.
I don't get the opportunity to use them much because I'm doing SEO type stuff, and people don't watch those videos all the way through. They show up in Google, they see the phone number, and they call.
That's true. That's true.
And it creates all kinds of authority and juice and stuff. But
and there's one other thing that should be mentioned here. You can do what's called click to call using this, which, by the way, with annotations was so beautiful. So beautiful in annotations. what we used to do there is, you'd be watching the video, and I'd literally put a picture of a telephone with a phone number, and you could click on the telephone, and it would call somebody. And that was wonderful. Well, you can do that with cards. It's just not as in your face, unfortunately.
Okay.
But you could put a card in there. And the way you do that is you'd click on when they click on that phone number, say call me now or whatever, it's going to go to their website, and there's going to be a script on that particular page that you're going to. So you might be going to, johnsplumbing.com/call me or something like that, And in that call me page, there would be a script that automatically dials. And so if you're on a mobile phone, you click on that call me, it's going to hit his website and immediately say, do you want to call John? Click that and go. If you're on a desktop, for instance, on a PC, it's probably going to try to pull up Skype to make a phone call. If you're on a Mac, it's going to pull up FaceTime to make a phone call. But either way, you can set that up so that they click on that and boom, it automatically does a phone call. So
I have it set up to do Google Voice.
You could do that. Mm-hmm. You could do that. You could also automatically do Skype messaging. You could do all sorts of things. You could click back to Facebook Messenger.
Mm-hmm. Depends.
Click here to message me on Facebook.
Yep. I've seen you do that quite a bit. Yep.
And it works well.
But you're doing sales videos, and you're good at it.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
Works either way.
See my new pen? I got a pen. New pen. You can't see this if you're listening to the audio part. Now watch this. Oh, there it is. It's got a light on the end. Isn't that cool?
A pen with a light. That's amazing.
I got this from an insurance agent.
Well, hopefully it's an insurance agent that's going to be paying you lots of money to do YouTube work or something.
That's right.
Sweet.
It's his name is Phil Wurst, W-U-R-S-T. He's in Seward, Nebraska. So he promotes himself as the worst guy in Seward.
I was just going to say the worst insurance guy or something like that. That's crazy.
The worst guy in Seward. yeah, he's quite the guy. He's like 85 years old, and he still works every day. Works a full day. So
there you go.
Yep.
Well, he could certainly use with some YouTube cards on his videos, getting people.
That's right.
Back.
That's right.
So the question is, what are you guys going to do with YouTube cards? We would love to hear what you're doing with them, because people do creative things. When I tell people you can turn it into a click to call or a click to message or a click to Skype, they're amazed by that, because it's just, you don't think of these things sometimes, but you can actually set these things up so that you can make phone calls. You can have people dial your phone directly from a YouTube video, and it's something that, I kind of discovered years ago. It just hit me one day, and I'm like, wait a minute. Couldn't we do this? Because I always said, it would be nice if we could have a click button and it would call somebody, and that would be so useful. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, I think there's a way to do that. And we set it up, and sure enough, there was. And, it's worked well for people. So get creative with those cards, but we want to hear what you're going to do with those YouTube cards. So comment down below this video, or comment to us on wherever you see it, on YouTube, on our Facebook pages, or send us a message. Let us know what you think about the whole YouTube card situation. Do YouTube cards work for you? Have you tried them? We would love to hear that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's. I was just checking to see if we had any comments. Brian says when you were talking about plumbers that he needed to call.
He needs a plumber. I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you can search him up on YouTube, Brian.
There you go.
Well, drain the swamp. Brian wants a plumber so he can help drain the swamp, I think.
Drain the swamp.
What he's looking for there.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. Good stuff.
Indeed.
Good times.
Good times. Good times. All right. And speaking of good times, I think it's time for us to say goodbye to Steve and all his friends. We'd really like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in.
Who was that?
It sounds familiar,
Skelton?
doesn't it?
Yeah. Is that Red
no,
Skelton?
that would be the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yes, the cement pond. All right.
Yeehaw! All right, so this episode, as we know, because we talked about it throughout, is made possible by our good friends at Thumbnail Blaster. Thumbnail Blaster allows you to create beautiful thumbnails for your videos, which will get you more attention, get you clicked more in those search, when people do searches. The best thumbnail usually wins, so you want to have the best thumbnail. And Thumbnail Blaster does it automatically inside there with templates. You don't even have to go to YouTube. You pick your video, you use the templates, you customize it, you hit publish, and boom, you got a beautiful thumbnail out there. Again, it's what I consider the product of the year. Steve feels the same way, and it's time for you to feel that way, and you can feel that way by heading to raythevideoguy.com/thumbnailblaster. Grab it today.
So do that, and you can feel Ray.
That's right. You can feel just like me. All right. And speaking of just like me, let's hit that funky music, Steve. Here we go.
Alrighty.
So long,
Ray.
everybody.
He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.